Okay, let's go. So we're up to Siman Chaf Dalet. We're coming to the end of Hilchos Tzitzis. So here, this is the last Siman in Hilchos Tzitzis. Siman Chaf Dalet. Hanogas Levishas HaTzitzis Schar v'Onsha. Says the Mechaber. Im ein Adam levish talis bas arbo knofos, ein chayv b'tzitzis. So we mentioned this several times, that tzitzis is a mitzvah's kiyumis, which means that if I'm wearing four-cornered garment, then I have an obligation to put tzitzis on. But I haven't got a chiyuv every day to find the four-cornered beged, mashen kin tefillin and other examples. So im ein Adam levish talis bas arbo knofos, ein chayv b'tzitzis. However, v'toy v'nochen lias kol adam zohir lilbesh talis cotton kolayom. It's good and it's wise for a person to be careful to wear a talis cotton all day, which is what we do. Kadesha yizker ha mitzvah b'chol rega, that we can remember the mitzvah of tzitzis the whole time, and the mitzvahs generally. Valkein yesh b'chamisha ksharim, and therefore there are 5 knots in every tzitzis. Keneged chamisha chumshei Torah, on each of the 4 corners there are 5 knots. Va'arba knofayim, and there are 4 corners to the beged. Shekol tzad sheyifne yizker, so whichever way I turn, right, left, back, forward, whichever way I turn, I'm remembering HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'nochen lelovshay ala malbushim, and it's correct to wear it over the malbushim, we've discussed. Lefachos yizoy sheyeh lovish tzitzis b'shas hatfilah. And if for whatever reason you can't wear the tzitzis, the talis cotton, then at least you should wear a talis or some tzitzis b'shas hatfilah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Cotton Aleph. Kadesha Yizkar. Dugma ledava ka'adam hamazel lechaver al inyan echad. You're tying knots, you sort of shekesha kesha be'ezara kadesha yizkarenu. To remember something, you tie a knot in your tie or something. So that's the illusion. An hamalbushim, you on your clothes. Ayin le'el b'simen ches b'mishnah Berurah mashe kosav nusham. And there we brought that there are different opinions where you wear it over the clothes, under your clothes, and if you wear it under clothes, tzitzis in, tzitzis out. So ayin le'el, we discussed all of that. B'shas hatfilah, Gimel, Sif Cotton Gimel, or Kriya Shema, at the time of Tfilah and Kriya Shema. V'isa b'zoya, it's brought in the Zoya and Pasha Shlach Lecha. Ta'hakore Kriya Shema below tzitzis. If someone says Shema without tzitzis, without wearing tzitzis, meyed edus sheker ba'atzmai. He's giving edus sheker. Shekore Pasha tzitzis, ve'ena mekayim hakra. He's reading it, but he's not putting it into practice. Kosav v'chaya adam, and the Gemara says the same thing about tefillin as well. It's not good that people sometimes they're traveling and they don't wear a talis gadol when they're davening. Most people, listen to this, unbelievable. Mishnah Berurah says most people's talis cotton is not made according to halacha. B'chol prota, with all the details. She'eroi levarich olav, that you make a brach on it. V'gamu yoshen by belayla. Moreover, you sleep in it at night. V'ayin le'el b'simen ches sif tezayin b'mishnah Berurah. So the addition note number 3 explains. It says that many achronim write. There are those who write that since a beged, a nighttime beged, is chayv and tzitzis, in keim ledaitam ein halayla choshev hefsek. Therefore, the night is not considered a hefsek, b'kiyum hamitzvah. Valkein misofek ein levarach ala talis cotton babayken. Therefore, in that situation, if you wore tzitzis all night, according to that opinion, you shouldn't be making a bracha on your talis in the morning. V'yesh lepoitru b'berachas talis hagadol, and therefore you exempt it by wearing the talis gadol. So therefore, he's critical of those people who don't wear a talis b'shas tefillah if their tzitzis, if their talis cotton is going to be possible. Okay, biyad small. Okay, so let's go to base. Says the Mechaber in base. Mitzvah le'echois ha-tzitzis biyad smolis keneged libo b'shas Kriya Shema. We hold the tzitzis in our left hand. Remez ledova v'ohiu advarim ha'ele al levovecha. And we hold it over our hand, over our heart. Says the Mishnah Berurah, biyad smolis, kosuv bekisvei ha'arizal, sheyechzem biyad ben kmitza lezeres. You hold the tzitzis between the little finger and the kmitza, which is the ring finger, we call it. Uchshagir lepasha tzitzis, yikochim gam biyad yamin, v'yabit bohem. And then when it comes to the 3rd paragraph, the parsha of tzitzis, you hold them in the right hand, v'yabit bohem, and then you look at the tzitzis, v'yir biyoda, and you hold on to it, ad shemagia lene'emonim v'nechemodim lo'ad, and then you release the tzitzis. V'oz yunashik ha-tzitzis, v'yasir miyoda, and then you remove them. Let's have a quick look at numbers 4 and 5. Footnote number 4. Uminyan ha-tzitzis shetzorech lechos biyodov. How many of your tzitzis do you actually hold when you're saying Shema? Mashmois divrei ha-shulchan aruch lahalon, sheyechizis ha-shtayim b'mishlefonov. You only hold the front 2. V'chein mashma midvarav lekamon. V'chein kosav b'maisa Rav, the Gon, she'agra ochaz rakes shtei hasitzis lefonav. Me'idach, however, b'shal tshuvas ha-radvaz, kosav she'yechaz es kol hasitzis. You hold all four. V'chein hevi ha-kafachayim v'sivri ha-rizal she'esh lechaz es kol ha-arbesitzis. I think the minhag olam is to hold all four. Yeah, we hold all four corners, and but the Gon and others would hold two. Now, this minhag of kissing the tzitzis is not so straightforward, interestingly. Take a look at number 5. The minhag lenashik es hatzitzis kosov hakitz shulchan aruch shehu b'shah she'omer uri'isem osai. When you say uri'isem osai, oz noisn al ha'inayim. When you say uri'isem osai, you place the tzitzis over your eyes. She'oz noisn al ha'inayim mistakel bohen. V'gam b'kol pam she'omer teva tzitzis. Whenever you say the word tzitzis, you kiss them as well. V'chein kosav ha'kafachayim. V'chein ha'inoeg ha'gon Rabbi Yaakov Yisrael Kanievsky, the stipler, lenashik b'chol pam shehiske tzitzis u'be'emes, and at the end as well. Well, I think that's what most of us do. He'd kiss them and then he'd release the tzitzis. V'hagra, the Gon, lo ha'yemenashik es hatzitzis. He wouldn't kiss the tzitzis, b'kriyishma, klal, at all. U'bir b'daito hagon ha'levi, I'm not sure that is, she'ika haminag lenashik bizman she'omer isem osai v'ika tamaria hu ashal deirei yizko komitz Hashem v'minashik yivatz lakavon liskos komitz Hashem v'yachshu sheri rak lechaves hamitzvah. He might forget if he kisses them at the time of the tzitzis or isem osai, he might have in mind to be mechabeb the mitzvah, and that's actually not what you should be thinking. Or isem osai means to remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem. V'abeis baruch b'das hagra gives a different explanation. Because it's a hefsek. If you're kissing in the middle, maybe it's a hefsek in the middle of the pasuk. Okay, and there are other reasons as well. But I think the minhag olam is that we do kiss the tzitzis at those points each time we say the word, and then tzitzis, we kiss them, and then at the end when we say emes. Okay, let's press on. Al levavecho, just sif cotton hay before the end of sif base. Al levavecho, says the Mishnah Berurah, v'halev hu basmol, the leaves on the left heart. And therefore you're holding the tzitzis for the first two paragraphs of Shema in your left hand, over the heart. And that saves a person from a chet, from sin. Even though the other mitzvahs haven't got this particular segula to save us from the Yetzer Hara, Tzitzis is considered preferable. Yeah, there are famous stories where a person was wearing tzitzis, and when he was about to do an avera with a certain zona, he takes off his tzitzis, and the tzitzis reminds him he shouldn't be doing this avera. So tzitzis are considered auspicious, mumasugul, to save us from doing averas. Okay, Sif Gimel. It's good to look at the tzitzis when you put them on, when you're wrapping them on. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Re'iyah brings you to Zechira, or Zechira meviyah l'dei maisa, and Zechira brings you to actual performance. Now, I've got two short notes here. In the 6th, in my edition, it's at the back of the Sefer. So the Das ha-smak v'charedim, harizu mitzvah semen ha-Torah. The actual Re'isem is actual mitzvah saseh. Re'isem is zachartem. She're'iyah mevidei zechira, v'zechira mevidei l'dei maisa. V'chein huva b'sei da hagra, b'sei da sheresh ha'avoda. And Rashi says in Menachos, v'chein kosav Orach Chaim vital. However, b'shal shuv zigros Moshe, kosav shekein mashma b'ramah le'el, shekosav shekotan ha'yedea l'isatef choyva lechancho b'tzitzis, misha she'yedea le'echoiz es ha'tzitzis b'zman kriya shema, u'muchach she'istaklos hu chelik me'ha-mitzvah. So that the actual looking at the mitzvah, the tzitzis, is a chelik of the mitzvah. Shem lo kein lo hoy misharin bo. Okay, and number 7, v'hoysiv b'zeh b'sifra shmiras haloshen. Mipashtas loshon hakosav mashma sheyesh b'riyas hatzitzis to'eles lizdaris mitzvahs Hashem. By looking at the tzitzis, there is a certain encouragement to keep all the mitzvahs. V'lo losur achariyas v'einayim. V'imkein manochin im liris hatzitzis come upon b'yom. And therefore, it's a good thing to look at the tzitzis many times during the day. Of a prat, and especially when a person has an inappropriate thought comes to your head, or you get a bit angry, A good eitzah would be to look at the tzitzis, and that can somehow avoid that situation. Okay, Dalet. Yesh nagin, says the Mechaber. Yesh nagin lihistakel b'tzitzis k'shemagim l'reisim osei v'litzen oisam al hoinaim, and to place them over your eyes. Uminag yafahu. It's a good minhag, it's a beautiful minhag. V'chibubei mitzvah, and it shows that you cherish the mitzvah. V'gam nagim, says the Ramah, some people have the minhag to kiss them as well, not just to see them but to kiss them. It's all considered a chiv of mitzvah, an expression of love for the mitzvah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Dalet, in Sivkot and Zayin, Nimtza b'shem hakadmonim, shekol hamavre tzitzis al einov k'sheker parshas Shema, parshas tzitzis. Listen to this. The Mishnah Berurah, someone once told me this is the only time the Mishnah Berurah gives a segula. You know, skula. What is the skula? That a person takes the tzitzis and puts them over his eyes when he's reading the parsha of tzitzis. That's a guarantee he's not going to become blind. Now, what about a person who is blind? Should he also take the tzitzis over his eyes? A blind person should also hold the tzitzis at the time of Kriya Shema. Even though it says Re'isem Esoi, and sadly he can't see. But like we've said before, he gets benefit from the fact that other people can see because they can help him. But to take his tzitzis and put them over his eyes, then he shouldn't do that. Because sadly, unfortunately, he cannot see. So he should hold them with his hand, but not actually put them over his eyes. Hey, says the Mechaber, when a person looks at the tzitzis, he looks at the front two tzitzis, because the combination of those two tzitzis, each corner has 5, that's a total of 10. Remez lahavoyos, because there are 10 spheres, and that will remind him of the Rabbi Shalom. Kodesh Baruch Hu sort of funnels down his goodness to us through the 10 spheres. V'gam yesh bohem tes zayin chutim v'asar kasharim. Each tzitzis has 4 strings which double up as 8. So the front 2 have 16, plus the 10 kasharim oile chafov, which gives a total of 26. Kashem havoya. It says in Mishnah Berurah, lahavoyas pirush l'sfira shem kasharim v'achudim zebozeh. They're connecting. Vov, last seif in the whole of Hilchos Tzitzis, Godel einish hamavatal mitzvah tzitzis. The punishment for a person who doesn't wear tzitzis is very great. V'alov ne'emar le'echuz bekanfos ha'oretz. It's the pasuk, that pasuk is applied to him. V'hazor b'mitzvah tzitzis zoche v'roeh pnei shchina. And someone who is careful, is particular with tzitzis, will be zoche, will merit to see the pnei shchina. Says the Mishnah Berurah, mitzvah lasos talis noeh v'tzitzis noeh. It's a mitzvah to have beautiful talis and beautiful tzitzis. V'hu adin kol ha-mitzvah sorech lasosun behidur b'kol ma'at efsha. And to have a beautiful tzitzis or talis, to the extent that is possible, is one should strive for. Shenema zeh keili va'anvehu. Hisnoi lefon of mitzvahs. Beautify yourself with mitzvahs. Avol also lirkeim psukim shel Torah b'talis. But you shouldn't sort of embroider psukim in the talis itself. But if one did, you're allowed still to make the bracha on it. One shouldn't embroider on them. We'll just do Aleph on Hilchos Tefillin. We'll start that. Let me just finish Hilchos Tzitzis with a famous story. You mentioned yesterday, God la'onish hamavatal mitzvah tzitzis. We started this morning, this simon, by saying that if a person doesn't wear tzitzis, he's not mechuyev to go get. It's mitzvahs kiyumis. But remember, the Vilna Gaon, in his last moments in this world, was lying on his deathbed, and his talmidim was surrounding him, and he was crying. So why was he crying? So they said, he's a man who's Vilna Gaon. He's one of the greatest in the last hundreds of years. He said he's crying because for a few pounds you can buy a pair of tzitzis, you can mekayim a mitzvah hasemin Torah, and you can achieve and earn eternity, nitzchias. And in a few moments he's going to take leave of this world, and he'll lose that opportunity. So it would be crazy not to use the opportunity and not to put on tzitzis. Okay.